In this video, I wanted to give you an update on the Aventon Adventure 2 e-bike. I've had this for over a year now, and this thing has been holding up great so far. I haven't had any issues with it. I feel like it's a solid, all-around good choice of an e-bike, and so I wanted to give you an update on what it's been like actually using it. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to purchase this e-bike for yourself. So where to begin? I feel like Aventon has become a lot more popular recently. I feel like anyone I talk to, when I mention e-bikes, they're familiar with this brand. So I feel like they're just becoming a lot more popular, but I think that's because they have a pretty decent track record for making good products. And I feel like I agree with that because I haven't had any issues with this so far. I haven't had any brake issues, the motor works fine, the battery life is still really good. I get like the same range that I have when I initially got this bike, so I really don't feel like I've lost any quality in the range. All the electronics and controls on this thing still work as well. My headlights, taillights, blinkers, so I really don't have too much to complain about. And the surprising thing is, this e-bike came out a while ago and it still outperforms new e-bike companies that just hit the market recently and products that are just now launching. I feel like this still outperforms a lot of their competitors. I feel like they made a nice solid product a while ago and it's still holding up good today. So that's kind of like my overview thoughts about this. I did add some accessories to this. I added a mirror so I can see cars coming up behind me. I swapped out their seat. Not that their seat was uncomfortable, but this one is just larger. It accommodates larger people. It is a little more squishy, which is what I prefer when we're going on long distance rides versus their original seat that came with it. So this is a little bit more comfortable. And then I also have this little like carrying pouch right here, which I usually keep my toolkit in here, my bike lock, phones, wallets, anything else we'll usually throw in here when we're going to ride into town. So those are the accessories that I added to this. After using this for a while, one thing that I noticed that I don't prefer is that there's a two-step process to actually turn on this e-bike and actually turning it off. You first have to hit this button on the battery to turn the battery on, and then you have to turn on the e-bike from the control panel up here. And just that two-step process, I don't know, sometimes it's just a nuisance when I'm trying to leave really quickly and go for a ride. It's like, turn the battery on, turn the screen on. I mean, it's kind of a minor complaint, and it's probably a good safety feature. That way you're actually shutting your battery off, but I think it's a little bit faster and more convenient when there's only one button to turn on your whole e-bike. The hydraulic brakes work good on this thing. I didn't have any issues when it comes to braking. I didn't have to bleed my brakes yet, and I actually haven't changed out my brake pads yet even, and it still rides fine. I haven't noticed too much of an issue with it. When it comes to the riding experience with this e-bike, I feel like this is where it really shines. The torque sensor that they use for this feels really good, especially being a fat tire bike that's a little bit larger. I've tested out a lot of other fat tire e-bikes with torque sensors, and they're usually more aggressive and they don't really fluctuate your speed that well. I feel like this does a great job at just really responding to how you're pedaling. So if you pedal harder, this goes faster. If you pedal softer, it goes slower. So I feel like the adaptive capabilities of this is really good compared to a lot of other e-bikes that I've tested out. So I really enjoy that. The one maybe downfall about their torque sensor is I noticed that it's hard to get up to the top speed consistently. So the top speed is 28 miles an hour, and to be able to get up to that speed, you have to be in pedal assist level 5, but then you have to be pedaling pretty aggressively constantly to maintain that 28 mile an hour speed. So it gets really exhausting, and I find it hard to maintain that speed level. So a lot of times I find myself riding it at like 24, 25 miles an hour just because it's hard to get that last like 5 miles an hour of speed in there. So I do notice that if you want to go fast on this thing, it's hard to maintain that. You do have to put a lot of energy into the pedals. One other small detail that I noticed when riding this e-bike compared to other e-bikes that I own is I feel like the chain makes a slightly louder like chain noise than some of my other e-bikes. I don't know why that is, and it's honestly not that noticeable. I usually notice it when I'm not riding this bike, but I'm riding next to it. I notice how loud this is compared to other e-bikes. When you're actually riding it yourself, I don't notice the chain being that noisy. And it's just a small detail. Again, it's just like maybe a minor complaint of mine, but it's not even that big of a deal. Again, I'm really pleased with it. The 8-speed trigger shifter works great. Shifting between gears works really well. The derailleur, everything on this thing seemed to hold up just fine. I also really love the display screen. So I noticed after testing more e-bikes out that they don't always have a nice, clear, visually appealing screen on it. And I also love that it shows your battery life in a actual number percentage, like 73%. This way it's a lot clearer to know how much life you have left in your e-bike rather than some other e-bikes just shows like a bar indicator. So you're kind of like guessing of how much range you actually have. It also comes with an app. I honestly don't even use the app. I'll just be quite frank with you. I've never found the need for it. I don't really care to like track my data and all that stuff. Some other people might really enjoy that though, so I'm not going to knock it. I'm just going to let you know that I don't actually use that feature. The one thing I think I would appreciate as well, so I really love the blinkers in the back, but I noticed that when I'm riding in town, I also wish that it had blinkers on the front of this. That way, when I pull up to a stop sign, people know which way I'm turning that are facing me, because sometimes they can't know that direction. They can only see it if they're behind me. So I really love the blinkers in the back. It would be an extra bonus if maybe on a future version, if they could put blinkers in the front of this. It is a little bit more forward of a posture compared to some of my e-bikes with swept back handlebars that are more like commuter friendly. So this is a little bit more in an athletic position posture when you're actually riding. So I do notice that's a difference between some of the other e-bikes that I've tested out. Something else that I think this e-bike does a great job with is actually hauling children. So we actually installed one of those carrying racks that hooks up behind this to haul our nieces and nephews when we ride to the park, and I feel like it does a great job at doing that. The motor doesn't seem to struggle going up hills. It's still nice to give you that adaptive pedaling capabilities with the torque sensor. So I feel like this is an awesome choice when you're actually hauling kids. That way you don't get tired, you're not exhausted, and the kids have fun, and the e-bike does all the work for you. So that's a really fun thing to do on this e-bike as well. At the time of this recording, I think it comes in at $1,800, which is a fair price because I still feel like it performs really well. Like I would still be glad to spend that today because it still offers you an awesome riding experience, and it's just a solid all-around choice. In my opinion, I feel like this is one of our go-to bikes to take out riding around the area that I live in, so I really don't have much complaints about this. I really enjoy it, and that's my update. Hopefully this helped you decide if this might be a right choice for you. So there you go. Enjoy. Have a nice day.